We'll transition now to our next speaker. From the individual and the values that guide them, we move to the communities and networks through which those values either spread or stall. Donnetta Campbell is the founder and CEO of the Social Architects, a firm she has built over 14 years into a global leader in executive brand architecture and purpose-driven community building. Her proprietary social architecture and social PR hashtag methodology has shaped the narratives of more than 1,000 global influencers across institutions ranging from Google and IBM to the United Nations. She is also a committed advocate for mental health and women's leadership, co-founding the Mental Health Task Force with the Chopra Foundation and serving as U.S. delegate for Savitas, the executive women's leadership platform originating in the UK House of Lords. Donnetta, you've spent 14 years helping some of the world's most powerful organizations build communities that actually move people. What have you learned through that work and what it takes for a community to create real, lasting change? And how does that apply to peace? Donnetta, over to you.
Thank you for the generous introduction, Lindsay. I'm really honored to be here with all of you today. And Barbara, just to start this conversation, has been a tremendous inspiration, friend, and mentor to me. We crossed paths many years ago working on the UN March for Peace. So we've been wrapped around peace all through this journey, and that's been quite a while. And I've been very lucky to have a lot of mentors and friends open up the UN and NGO system around me as I moved through my career in New York. So I work every day to pass that on, and I'm really happy to be able to do that with all of you here today. So I love seeing this amazing energy and community all together in one place. That's the start of all of this, which Lindsay just pointed out that I try to create. And there's so many possibilities that come to life if each of us gather around what I call a digital water cooler for peace, where we all focus on how to empower each other, our thinking, our voice, our brands to become champions for peace. Yakub talked beautifully about where this all begins, that each of us, our values, and our culture matter. So let's get started and talk about social architecture. Your voice matters, not just your checkbook. Your voice matters actually even more to create change. I define social architecture as the intentional design of human connection. Every conversation we have, every story that we tell, every person we share it with or encourage either strengthens or weakens the culture around us. Culture isn't created by accident. It's created by relationships we build and the values we reinforce every day in everything we do online and offline. If we want a culture of peace, we must intentionally create conditions where trust, belonging, empathy, and collaboration can flourish. So using social media as a vehicle for that, social media for good, especially on LinkedIn, which is my world, can influence and change dynamics to create more understanding, empathy, unity, and peace in the world. That social architecture in action is something that I try to see and work on everywhere that I can light it up, right? So one quick personal example of that is I'm currently working on a passion project with Kathleen Hessert, who's actually listening in today on this call. Kathleen's a great example of an incredibly successful businesswoman that's done many things in her career and run her own agencies and businesses and is still to this day doing that nonstop, but personally always reflected a sincere desire, just like Barbara does, to create change. And she just launched Project Oxygen, which we're helping her with. It brought together 40 teenagers from 15 conflict zones across 5 continents in Rome last month for a week-long experience meeting the Pope to working with other leaders that taught them all kinds of ways to create change in the world. And that was number one starting point for this project. And I think there's about 10 others she's now lining up. And I'm excited to put Kathleen and Barbara together on a conversation because I think a lot of amazing things will happen from there. That to me is a great example of social architecture in action. And then the other thought I have is peace moves through people. It doesn't spread because someone writes a policy. It spreads because people choose to live it, tell their stories, learn from one another, accept one another, invite others into those conversations. Peace moves through people. It moves through relationships. It moves through stories. It moves through knowing someone who is different than we are and embracing them. Peace erases borders. It grows through trusted communities built on shared purpose, like all of us here today. Is an amazing place to start that journey. The most important thing I could do today is ask you to think about joining a call to action and organizing around this amazing initiative that has been created to create that change. So, starting today, every one of us can be part of this community, harnessing your social voice and everything that you think about and do in life to be an active peace ambassador. It's easier than you think online, and that's what I'll touch on because that's my expertise. I'll let everybody else tell you how to do it in the real life part of the world. But you have to be your authentic self online in order to create that change. So, each of us has relationships. Each of us has a personal brand. We have an authentic voice. We have the confidence to be gathered together and have these conversations. Each of us has a network of people who trust us. If we open that opportunity and harness it and on LinkedIn and use social media, each and every one of us can make a huge difference in what the Peace Innovation Initiative is working so hard to create. Imagine if every one of us committed to reaching just one more person, one more organization, one more community with a message of hope and collaboration and start connecting all of those dots, how the world would light up. Social media gives us something previous generations never had. It gives every one of us the ability to become a storyteller, a community builder, an advocate for peace or anything else that we believe in. Together, we can create a powerful people engine, which is how I like to see it coming together visually in my head, that carries this movement far beyond today's conversation. We all connect the dots and find each other on social. We start to engage around that. We all follow and use the hashtag Peace Innovation Initiative. That's the digital water cooler. If you go there and every post uses that, you'll see every post. You'll connect to everybody in the group. You'll start to support them. The most important things you can do on those to meet the algorithms right now in LinkedIn, and it changes all the time. So I'll make sure to keep everybody updated, but comment on each other's posts in a thoughtful way. Like, share, linger over that post, click through it. That's what LinkedIn is looking for right now. And they especially reward posts that light up a community of the same people in the same business or in an organization. So if you put it into your bio on LinkedIn that you're part of this group and then we're all engaging together, that will be helpful in making that message go any further. It's easy as and simple, like playing follow the leader, starting with LinkedIn and a few best practices. Like I said, polish up your profile a little bit, get out there, start messaging around the organization and the things you believe in, sharing your thoughts. If you're not comfortable doing that, just play follow the leader, connect the dots, and like things or write a comment or two as you get braver. And I'm always happy to help if anybody has questions. So I would say influence isn't about being visible, it's about being valuable. It's about using our voice to help see what's possible. Peace won't be built by one organization or one leader. It will be built by thousands and millions of authentic voices choosing to inspire hope, create connection, and invite others into a shared purpose. My hope is that we don't simply leave here inspired, but we leave here committed and loud in a nice way and thoughtfully. Because each one of us has that voice, every one of us has that ability to reach others and has influence to those that are in our network. And every one of us has had the opportunity to build a culture where peace can truly take root. Reach out and help. Let's connect the dots and get you all started. Because I don't think you'd be here unless you already had made that commitment. And I would stop there.
Donnetta, thank you for sharing your consummate knowledge and experience in these fields and in how to make social media purposeful and authentic. I'd now like to transition to a moderated cross-panel discussion of a couple of questions for our panelists. We've heard in the transition to this discussion four distinct and deeply complementary perspectives on what it takes to build and sustain a culture of peace through education and culture, that shared infrastructure. I'd like to open the conversation across the panel and explore where these entry points might converge. From pillars to practice, we've heard about values, community architecture, storytelling, and scalable peacemaking skills. Where do you see the most powerful points of connection, and where do these approaches most need each other?
I would stay in my area of experience and knowledge and say that I think by bringing together these kinds of collaboratives, partnerships, initiatives, to try to push into the places that they were just talking about after the last question, right? Where you create moments and tell the stories through music, entertainment, or a movement, or an event of some sort, or harnessing social media to tell those stories and create those networks and create those collaborations. I see it working there. I see it breaking down a little bit in corporate support of that in the world we're in and the chaos and everything else and the shifts in viewing. We represent a lot of the DEI leaders for corporations or our clients. We've had to help them shift into new titles. Even though they still believe in the same thing and doing the same work, they've had to survive by becoming a political football. So I think there's so many layers to that where it's breaking down in the tone from the top to in the way that the global politics are moving to how we can then find anchors to hold on to through digital and in relationship building, that you find that hope and you keep finding ways to build back to where you were. I watched somebody like Lori Meadoff, who I've worked with for many years and is one of those other mentors for the United Nations, and her group of city kids that she built for New York City. And she's got a huge banner of Keith Haring's that he painted for this organization, as tall as the Statue of Liberty. It's huge. And she's out there still beating the drum, trying to get those things moving to support those incredible organizations, because the corporate sponsorship becomes more challenging. So I don't know if I hit on exactly what you're looking for, but to see a lot of growth and wonderful things happening, and then two steps forward, one step back, right? So we just keep stepping forward.
I'll do a final question. Well, I'll ask our speakers, our distinguished guests, to answer in 1 to 2 sentences a very hard question. Our formal education systems were not designed with peace as a central organizing purpose. What is the most important thing they consistently leave out? And in that, where do you see the single greatest gap between education and culture and what they're currently doing in talking about the peace impact they could have?
Say this is not my area of knowledge, but I would say that within education, as the challenges that we're in currently, where some of the programs that created acceptance and diversity and are being challenged or pushed back and forth within the system and mood of the politics we're in, to find places to create empathy and bridges within different sorts of people and students there to the teachers, that kind of thing. So looking at it a very simplistic approach of how do we accept and know each other and support each other as different people, but also as the same people. And how do we learn about others' cultures through being in an academic setting where they're coming from all over the world, and share those um, stories and have a touch point with those cultures that we learn to love and respect them, even though we maybe aren't familiar or even comfortable with them.